Hey there, welcome to a new episode of the Art Chains podcast. Here we talk about art, NFTs, and music on the blockchain. Together, we explore how artists, musicians, and content creators can promote their work and earn in the Web3 space. Thank you so much for joining us and have a nice listen. GM, everybody, how are you doing? Happy to have you all back. I hope you've been well. Today, we will be having a new pilot episode, probably, and hopefully, we will be hosting a pretty short spaces, but way more oftenly than we did before. Yeah, today's space is a pilot episode. You are absolutely feel free to join as a speaker and discuss the current situation on the market, on your personal things. So, yeah, feel free to join as a speaker, share your perspectives. Today is a very testing episode, very pilot episode. So we have a super special guest, Eon, the guy, the community manager, community leader on the Trilitech, on Tezos ecosystem, and I'm pretty happy to have him back on our spaces and wanted to ask, what's up, Eon? How are you doing? And what's going on the Tezos side of things?
Good morning, bro. I wanted to clarify something just while we get into this. I have some background in like generative art sales. I ran an NFT project for a while. I don't have much experience with like kind of more artist based sales, but I do have a lot of experience in community. So a lot of these spaces are going to be like, how do we tie these two things together? How do we give marketing tips and community tips to artists that just want to make art and kind of give them the upper hand there so that they can get more sales and kind of grow that way. So a lot of the fun stuff that I don't want any of the artists to worry about, kind of providing you with as much info on that as possible, and that you guys get to do what you're good at. I get to help with what I'm good at, and kind of we go from there.
Yeah, exactly. And let's start directly from that point. Guys, I remind you that you are free to join us as a speaker. Ask any questions to the Art Chains page, to Ion, and to maybe share something interesting that is going on the art side of things, on the Tezos ecosystem, and whatever. I actually wanted to upvote what Ion just said about the community building and how important is that, and how important is the fact that we all have to keep the narrative and keep the ideas rolling. I mean, especially about marketing and community management, because it's not a surprise that most artists are not well aware about how to build marketing, how to build a better brand for themselves, and all of those really boring things. And I'm happy to have such a platform where we can discuss and maybe even focus on these things, because it's really important. It's never enough to repeat those things, because our brain works not as a computer. We are always forgetting very important things. So this is why we are here, to keep this ball rolling, to keep reminding you what is good and what is bad from the perspective of people who were there for a while, let's say like that. And my latest experience was when I was in Belgrade during Belgrade Blockchain Week 2 weeks ago, I guess. I spoke to a lot of artists there. We had two Tezos community events there, organized by Heartverse and Ivana. Shout out to them. And I had a lot of conversations with artists, and I've been shocked because in my little bubble, I used to think that everyone knows at least basic things about, for example, how to operate on Twitter, how to not to do things that will crush your algorithm on Twitter, how to do really, really basic stuff. And, you know, I didn't expect that so many people are struggling with that. Even artists on Tezos, on Object, from Serbia, they were like, "We're not even using Twitter mostly because we have no idea how to use it, and what to do there, where to go, who to connect, and stuff." And I think that this space will be recorded, and I wanted to ask you, Ian, what do you think? If you would speak to a completely new artist, what are the three things that you would recommend him or her to do first on X?
Yeah, I mean the main premise of like kind of this whole conversation is uh, I don't expect people to know much about like community building or kind of Twitter and stuff like you mentioned. The same way that artists don't expect me to be as good as them at making art, right? Like everyone has their strengths, everyone can do whatever they want in that side. But in terms of what would kind of be great advice there is you need to familiarize yourself with kind of how it's going, right? So you see the community, and Tezos is great for this because you get to see a lot of people like kind of have this very tight knit, real community where the artists are all friends or like there's barely any drama, at least from my side. I'm sure there's a lot of artists here that know that there is drama, but the main thing for me is like try to immerse yourself as much as possible with the people that you want to be surrounded with, or with the people that you aspire to get to their level, or like with the people that kind of resonate with you as a human being, right? So like a lot of it, a lot of the kind of gaps that I see is people try to, and this is not directed at anyone. People try to like almost fake it, right? They slap shill tweets on everything. Sometimes you write a GM and you get like 10 out of 10 open edition, whatever XTZ price there is, right? And I think a lot of what people see, and this is very prominent in like sales and kind of any other aspect of the world, is like people can smell fakeness, right? Like if you're genuine, then it will take you so much further. And don't get me wrong, it takes so much more time to get to that stage. And it's even more nuanced with artists because you need to find people that resonate with your art and people that really like kind of what you're doing. And there's so many like different aspects involved here. But the main one is like just immerse yourself, like see what's happening, get involved. It doesn't really have to be anything financial, right? Like you don't need to collect art per se. You could just go in and see like what people are up to, share, try to have conversations, book calls with people, man. Like just hop on spaces, see what's going on. And I'm not saying this as almost like a kind of a toxically optimistic point of view because it doesn't always work, right? Sometimes you try to do all the right things and everything doesn't go the way you want it to go. And other times you might just have a tweet somewhere that, pops off and now you're this renowned artist that sold out everything everywhere. So there's a lot of things at play here. And I think kind of a one size fits all group of you know advice kind of sentences here won't really touch up on the matter as much. But at the end of the day, man, like we have a great community, especially for artists, and there are a lot of people that really want to see cool art, and there are a lot of initiatives, and there is some disconnect from the kind of higher powers, if you want to call them that. But again, that's something that's like being actively worked on. Just get yourself in the ecosystem. Like if you're completely new and you just want to go in, meet Para, for example, one of my favorite people in the space, and I'm not like the biggest art guy. Meet Amir, meet a bunch of like these people on this space. Have calls, meet up, join the town halls that First Rain also hosts, which are absolutely incredible, and yeah, see where it takes you. Like a lot of it is kind of touch and go. You see how the vibe is, what's working for people, what you would like to accomplish, and another kind of thing to add here is like not every artist is hell bent on selling everything. Like there's a lot more involved than just sales. But it would be absolutely insane to just completely disregard that. So yeah, I think like having these spaces on a weekly and having people come up with like their concerns and seeing where we can help as let's say social media nerds and community nerds, that I think would be the greatest one. So almost having it as like a, let's audit what you're doing and what you can do better or where we can help. And I'm privileged enough to be kind of involved in one of the Tezos entities, so I can try to provide as much help as possible. Obviously, no guarantees because I'm again like I'm not within the art vertical, but as much as I can, man, to the people that are basically the community that I'm managing, right? So that's a very long-winded way to say it's not a one size fits all, but we'll fill in any gaps we can, and we'll try to amplify as much as possible.
Absolutely love that you mentioned about the fakeness. And actually, I also wanted to add here that many people are not they don't mean to be fake. They're just trying their best, to do something and to push whatever they have. But yeah, I completely agree here that I believe that your authenticity is your best marketing tool. Like the best foundation that you have to share, to deliver the proper message, to deliver the proper idea, and of course to deliver the awareness about your art. Um, we also have Para as a speaker. It's been a while, my friend. How are you doing? And GM, what's up? What's up? And if you have any ideas and thoughts, I bet you have, about what would you recommend to artists on the blockchain on Twitter, to do and to not to do to promote themselves better, and sell their art better. Would be super grateful to hear your thoughts. Thanks.
Hello, hello, everyone. Well, it's good to listen to you. Apart from what Ion said, I wrote a post yesterday or the day before, exactly on that. How it feels for me, at least, because without knowing it, I have become a small collector. When I have sales, I can't hold myself and buy art with Tezos. I was supposed I was supposed to save up for reality needs, but that's impossible with the art I see. I must admit that. Uh, to be true, to be real. Yes, branding. Yes. You know, back in 2022, late 2022, when the bear market started, we were in a space with friends. So we were doing karaoke with Santiago and other people. And an Ethereum collector came by and he was asking for Tezos. How's the art? How's the artist? What's going on? And I looked at his profile. Don't kick me out now that I'm going to say that, especially the marketing people. Uh, I seen his profile and he had the motto: the artist is the product, the art is not. And I got grumpy around it, a little drama, Tezos drama in me, because it felt so demeaning for me. I'm a creative person since I was born almost, and I can't be a product, I'm a human. And all this branding, all this pushing we get from collectors while we need the money to live by it, to cover our needs, is dehumanizing somehow. And I've seen many things that are really dangerous and abusive around that. So be yourself. It's not easy. Try to think. I had a Greek, really Greek, famous Greek painter starting on NFTs as well. And she wasn't patient enough to build up from scratch, because here, when she was going out, she was known, she was famous. But here we have the talent of all the world to compete with. So if we work together, the competition becomes easier. One strong thing on Tezos is collaborations, amazing pieces, sharing knowledge. Like I know a Persian painter, she was giving lessons, free lessons, how to paint, how to do tricks on watercolor. Other people, another photographer from Argentina, she gave us lessons on photography, on the new things. There were some things I didn't know, being an old woman here. So be yourself, make friends. Friends in a decentralized environment are our best asset. The best art without friends gonna sell for a while and then fade out. Trust this old woman. Nothing lasts forever, but the things that touch our heart and our friends, the new things that we might learn from one another and make us feel excited and relieved and happy. Be yourself. Yes, I'm a mess. I started to collect my account, and if you see it, it has everything messed up. I know it's messy. We ask from the marketplaces to be able to give us some tools to make it a little better. Many developers on Tezos, without getting paid, do those tools for us. Like Gogolithus has created two tools that we can make images to promote our stuff better, easier by drawing, indexing from the link we give. Uh, Many people do stuff to help us. Just look at the right way. Don't go under all posts and seal. Say good morning. I'm Christina from Greece, from Spain, from Gibraltar. Be human, guys. We're human, and probably most of us, because we need the money we might get, we are more human, like from the struggle way. We don't have it easy. Everyone knows. Don't get abused over that. That's what I would say to artists. And Tezos is a beautiful community to help us grow all together, really. And sorry for talking too much.
No, that's okay. That's totally fine because we need more we need more thoughts and ideas about let's say about marketing, about branding and stuff. I love this philosophical idea about being a product, being a brand, or being a human. I've been into the branding side of things, commercial brands, and many things like that for a while, for a decade. And I still don't have an answer. Can a human being be a brand? Yeah, we are talking about personal brands for last, I don't know, 7 years or so on the internet globally, like personal brands, build a personal brand and blah 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 blah. But I I never understood how exactly should you do that without losing yourself, let's say, without not becoming an asset. You know, because you're a human being, and at some point of time you'll be doing different things. Your interests are changing constantly. The world around is changing, and if you're, for example, remember the beginning of Instagram, the best marketing tool, the best tool to market yourself was sharing pictures of your food. Do you remember? Instagram was an app to
Yeah.
share food. But and many people, I bet, I'm not sure, but I think it was like that. People were building their whole brands around food, and after 3 or 4 years, it became so cringe, and nobody is posting food anymore. So, what those people should do? They dedicated their whole brand to that, and now they have to sacrifice their brand to because the market has changed. I'm curious what Ian thinks about that, and then we will also have Poyo to share his perspective. Ian, what do you think about personal branding and how to avoid dehumanization?
Yeah, man, it's a very tough thing to balance, honestly. Like especially when you're a full time artist and like full time Web3 artist. Like that's obviously I'm speaking just strictly out of kind of almost common sense because I've not lived it. But the thing for me is like, okay, some people are almost gonna have to sell themselves so that they can get sales and then live, and it shouldn't be that way, right? Like some people need to do all of that and do all of this shilling, whatever, and then they survive another month, and it's like that's a full time job in and of itself. So, is there a way to mitigate that feeling of kind of losing the personal brand and losing yourself in it and having to sell yourself? Whilst also kind of generating these sales. So not necessarily completely disregarding marketing or kind of shilling or sharing, whatever the phrase is, how to do it more efficiently. And the real kind of answer to that is you can't really guarantee sales either way. And it's a very, very tricky thing to look at. And obviously, yeah, like at the end of the day, it's really hard to give perspective on that when I've not lived it personally. But we try our best, right? like regardless of what it is, we're going to try our best. We're going to try our best to get people to a point where they're happy with what they're sharing and what they're marketing in a way that not only gets them sales, but also kind of maintains their their humanity, right? Like I don't want anyone to feel dehumanized by doing something they love. And this is almost like personal, and it kind of goes against what a lot of people say. But I'm the type of person that if I monetize any of my hobbies or any of the things that I really, really like, then it just becomes a chore, and I end up not liking it. And a lot of people start saying, like, if you're good at something and you really enjoy it, it'll never feel like a job, all that other shit. I don't personally believe in that, and more power to the people that do. It doesn't resonate with me. So yeah, there are definitely gaps, and there isn't like a one size fits all answer here. But we try, right? And eventually someone will figure it out. It might not be you, it might not be me, it might not be anyone in the fucking Web3 or even Tezos ecosystem. Someone will find a way that makes it work so that it becomes similar to the food pictures that you mentioned on Instagram. And just one final point, touching on what Paris said. The most important part, and this is going to sound biased as fuck coming from a community manager, right? But the most kind of fruitful aspect of Web3, in my eyes, is the connections and the people you get to meet. I'm 25, just for context. I started working in Web3 practically full time while I was studying in 2021. So I was 21 years old. And the people that I got to meet, teachers, I got to meet lecturers, I got to meet businessmen, I got to meet artists, I got to meet kind of like every single type of person there is, I got to meet through Web3. And that's the reason why I'm not, working in in the medical world, even though I have a biomedical science degree, or like that's why I stayed in Web3. It's because like these are real human beings that are living a completely different life than mine, right? Like if I left university, went straight into what I wanted to go into, which was like medical school and all that stuff, and I might eventually, but I wouldn't have met any of these people from all of these different parts of the world doing all sorts of different things. So like that in and of itself is worthy enough of being in Web3. Like to me, that's one of the main purposes. Again, doesn't pay the bills, right? But someone might know someone that might know someone that might know someone that can solve a problem for you. And I think that is something you can't really put a price on. But again, not to be like, too optimistic here, it does not pay the fucking bills, right? So it's not like, oh my God, guys, just focus on connections and, shouldn't worry about paying your bills, all that other stuff. It's a very good thing to have, and it's a very major part of Web3. But also, bills need to be paid, lives need to be lived, and that's again kind of a never-ending topic, which I don't think can be solved, but can be made more efficient for the people kind of experiencing that.
Real quick, I remember, I think it was Ryan from Taya who said once that he knows a person who won Grammy and went back home on a bus. So I've been thinking for a long time, for long years, I've been thinking that having an audience is key because if you once you have audience, someone even called that social capital. That means that you are like you're almost promised to be not saying wealthy or rich, but you are most kind of promised to have enough funds to live a good life. But really, it turns out that so many influencers and bloggers and huge accounts with huge views and engagement, and they are not getting paid well in general. They just don't know how to make actually money. And also I know so many super small accounts who are like, for example, some startups or some new companies, who are having like 100 followers on X, on Instagram, whatever, and they're having like multi-million investments. Like it's so crazy. So we have to, I believe that we have to at least start thinking, maybe maybe having way more conversations with chat gpt and other AI chats, asking them the straightforward question about how exactly I can make a living, and how to diversify this. And this is, in my opinion, it's not a solution. Of course, it's not a direct solution yet, but it's a great destination to find one, to find a good solution for yourself, and maybe to stop being depending on sales and shields of your art, making some living on, like a few different things, and making art freely without stress, to express yourself properly, to be able, to make connections, to be able to have time to submit to open calls, to, I don't know, galleries and wherever. So might be a thing. Yeah, Para, you have your hand raised. What's up?
About what Diane said, why not brand ourselves as ourselves? I mean, if we are to be a product one way or the other, we may as well be us, each one with their individuality and their unique characteristics. Why should we be doing the same things, saying the same words? I mean, I don't like GM. I like good morning or good afternoon. Why do I have to say GM? You know, it's simple. It's not that hard to be yourself, to be sincere. And everyone says, I'm here for the art. No, we are here for the money as well. We may as well say it. We all have needs. I mean, I don't know. I'm too crazy.
It's not true, because I think that the real personal brand, that's my personal opinion, not as an art chains, but as Amir. In my personal opinion, that the best personal brand is your real self, and being like who you like to be. Because I'm afraid that nobody knows who we really are. We don't have the 100% proper definition of that, because it's impossible. And also, we have to remember that we are changing constantly, so we have no idea who we are, and even our name is not like determining who are we. But at least stating what you really like at the moment, and playing around with that, maybe sharing your perspectives about that, I think that's the personal brand. That's the best way to brand yourself. Probably many people will don't like, or even be hating on you, and that's the main evidence that you're doing it right, because we are so different. And we used to get annoyed. We're getting annoyed of people who we don't like, who we don't consider to be appropriate, and that's normal. That means that we are staying unique, we are staying true to our values, which are different. So probably, playing around with things that are reflecting who you are at this very moment, that's the best thing. I don't I'm not sure if that's legit, but I always remember those crazy guys like Kanye West, who is, if you will take a look back at his career, man, he's changing like every couple of years completely. Like, I mean, but he's staying himself because of, I don't know, because of his nature, probably because of his mentality and everything. But if you will see his products, they are super different from album to album, from era to era of Kanye. So that's and he's still himself. So yeah, we actually have Retro Money as a speaker, and I have to interrupt myself to
One of my favorite people in here, Retro.
yeah.
Exactly. That's what I meant, what you said, Amir. I mean,
Hmm.
we change, we evolve, we experiment, we learn, we forget. If not that, what?
Yeah, like,
That's what I meant.
those
Yeah.
people who are saying, like, for example, I don't know, it can be applied to brands, like, for example,
Mhm.
for Coca-Cola. If Coca-Cola will be doing, I don't know, Coke, and then they will be doing whiskey, and then meat and whatever, that's weird, because that's a commercial product, that's not a human being.
Exactly. Exactly.
But how can you ask, for example, I don't know, for example, Ion, bro, you've been so different like 10 years ago. It's not you now, like that's weird. That's stupid.
That would be problematic if we wouldn't change. I mean, I don't
Exactly.
trust people that don't change, even from day to day, according to life incidents, you know.
Exactly. Exactly. Retro, what's up? I mean,
Retro.
Test up, sorry.
Hey, what's up, Amir, Ayan, Pana, and Poyo? Good to hear from you. Nice space today.
Thanks. Retro, do you have a couple of cents to add into the conversation here? We are talking about branding and marketing for artists in the Web3, and maybe you have a couple of thoughts here as well.
I don't want to interrupt Poyo because I know he was waiting, so I will wait for Poyo and then I'll maybe come in at the end.
Boyo! Sorry, my friend, I had to ask you first. My bad again, but don't be too don't judge me too hard. I haven't hosted spaces for a while.
Hello, how are you doing, dear Amir? It's really nice to see you hosting spaces again. And hello to Ian, Retro, Para, everybody in the space. It's really good to be here with you guys. It's been a while indeed. And I really, for starters, I saw your tweet that you were hosting. I had to jump in. And I really liked the topic at hand as well. I think it's something that we always struggle with, not only on Web3 but generally in life expressions, finding ways to be ourselves, finding ways to show ourselves to others, because I think it's two different things: being yourself and then the ability to express it. It's a different wavelength entirely. A couple of things I took notes of while you were speaking. Para mentioned having friends is very important. I think that is paramount to our experience in the Web3, because it's very global, but the world isn't very global. We are, but our politics, the people who dictate how we live our lives, dictate how we spend it, they're not very, they don't have the same mindset as me. So just like a week ago, one of my wallets was frozen by Exodus, the company Exodus. They froze my wallets. Because I had friends here, I just gave my seed phrase to one of my friends. He just sent me the money. These are things that I think, like Para mentioned, is very important to maintain to maintain connections, create and maintain them in order for us to be able to, grow in this space and fend for ourselves even in this space. You as well talked about becoming an asset. I think whether we want it or not, we become assets because of the nature of the how we go about our days, how we consume, how we talk, how we pay for things, how we pay for services, how we interact with each other, our needs that are met, on a very our needs that are on a very basic level makes us and others in turn assets. And I don't think it's it's a bad thing per se, but it's something that we should be very aware of, like what kind of an asset I am, how am I available, how I maintain myself, how I maintain others, what it is that I'm showing, what it is that I'm expressing, what it is that I'm making available. All of these questions, I think, are very personal and not something that you can just come out and say, yeah, this is how you do it, this is how you become an asset. No. Or this is how you don't become an asset. I don't think there's a set definition for it. That in turns comes into marketing, personal brand, how you can really again, like I said earlier, create and express yourself, change yourself, mold yourself. Maybe you come two steps back, one forward. It's all about being able to express yourself for what your life is really about. I think that will make each and every artist in this space a pioneer if you are able to really dig into your heels and find out what it is you're really passionate about, and then pushing it forward. When you really like channel that ability, when you channel that energy, you become a pioneer. And I think that's what art is all about, like pushing boundaries, showing people new things, new mindsets, things that will help them overcome certain mind hurdles, and really become something that inspires your brothers and sisters to move forward, such as you do. So yeah, I think that's it. Thank you for having me, and a really nice space. Back to you.
Wow. I I was expecting to have like a super warming up space after not hosting for a while, but this is one of the best ones we ever had, to be honest, because you guys are making me feel that we're discussing and doing something very important, extremely important, because we're not sitting a shilling here, you know, we're really trying to understand our own value in this world, and talking about something fundamental in life, not just on the blockchain, not on just art, not on just, sorry for saying just in front of each word, but really, you know, life is bigger than art, life is bigger than sport, life is bigger than, I don't know, like blockchain and everything. And here we are, not to just speak about what we are doing, but to understand who we are and why the hell we are doing what we are doing. So I'm super grateful for that, guys. Thank you so much. And Retro, maybe you have something to add. Retro, please.
Thanks, Amir. I don't want to repeat anything that's been said. There's been some really good things said. So, um, all I would add is there's a famous saying in trading and particularly in crypto, which is crypto is a transfer of wealth from the impatient to the patient. And there's something that's been said a few times about patience here in this space today, and I think it's really important because when you're building a quote unquote personal brand, which is really just finding who you want to be, which has been said as well, it can be quite messy. And you're just trying to figure out loads of things while you're here creating and showing everybody at the same time. So it might not look like anything at first. And I think the problem with the Web3 space in general was, you know, in the early days, 2020, 2021, people had a lot of false expectations built up from the gold rush. And they felt that this was a quick place to make money. It was a quick place to come in and, you know, be able to sell out immediately and do these things repeatedly over and over again. And that's just not reality. That was just the gold rush. And you see it when you see a lot of accounts that built up, you know, 10, 20, 50,000, even 100,000 of followers, and then don't get any engagement anymore because they're still kind of, no shade to them, but I think it's kind of living in that mentality still, and then feeling why is it not working, and not realizing that we all have had to be humbled at some point in our careers, where you have to build back again, and then you build up something, and then it almost feels like it all comes crashing down again, and you've got to build it back up, and that's all part of the foundations of figuring out who you are, um, and that comes with patience. And I think over time, if you stick at something that you love, whether you're able to make money from it or not, if you continually like it and enjoy it and make friends along the way in an organic, natural way, not like, oh, okay, how can I hack this so that I can make loads of connections quickly so that I can make money? But you genuinely enjoy being here and speaking to people and like the people you've come across and like hanging out with them. I think over time it's going to be a win anyway. But it all has to come down to patience. That's my thoughts on it.
I couldn't agree more here. And I love that you mentioned about those, let's say, quotes, quotes, big guys from 2021 who are now having like hundreds of thousands of followers and not getting like 100 of views on their posts, which is so sad because it shows how much empty expectations people had back then, and how many people are not here anymore because they came here for, let's say, for not saying for wrong values, but for the values that are just not probably not working at all in human society. So we have Mazi requested, our good friend. Let's ask what he thinks and how is he doing. Then I have one question to Ion, and we will wrap up the space. Mazi, GM, what's up? What's up? Как си?
Yo, what's up, Amir? How you doing? Are you working on something specific, or you just took some time for yourself?
I'm working on a ton of things and testing so many things on the background, not being able, to share it publicly. I don't know. Once I will have time, I will start sharing it. But slowly but surely, you will be seeing some results on the Art Chains page and probably on some other pages from me. This is it. I hope you are doing well, and
Cool. Thanks.
thank you, brother. We also have Wise Sigma Toad. GM, my friend, how are you doing?
Hey, what's up? Hope we all are well. Just kind of echoing the point that Retro's made about setting expectations, and essentially trying to kind of build as many relationships as you can in this space. Specifically, if your intention is just like as an artist, whether it's minting, whether it's selling, and all the good stuff that comes with it. I understand that the market is slow, and that's just kind of like the nature of the game, considering that people's attentions are elsewhere. However, the space that we're in, we are very fortunate to be in it, in a sense that it's relatively new and things are happening, and you guys are the first. So, you guys are the first people that are minting, that are collecting, that are doing all these amazing stuff. The rest will come later. And the other thing I was going to mention is in a sense, we are also fortunate to be in Tezos. And I get it. Short sighted, not the best, but the long game is the game you want to be playing. So that's just something I kind of want to mention. Um, I'll give it maybe a couple more years, like 5 years, and we'll see what's going. So the hype of 2021, if anything, that kind of like taught us is people are interested in digital art. It's just how it started being in this space. It didn't start off well because people were chasing the hype. They didn't really think of it being a completely long-term endeavor. And I hope that people that are in this space do think it is. Digital art is not new. It's been there for quite some time. But now we are the people that are kind of, well, you guys are the people, the ones that are like really kind of driving it home. So, yeah. And that's it.
That's not it. That's beautiful. It. So I agree here that I also I also see the weird transformation of some of my, let's say, colleagues and friends who, like those who I expected to be, a very much, let's say, into the digital culture, not saying NFT culture yet because they are not in here, but the digital culture, digital world in general, digital businesses. I've been trying to I'm still trying actually to onboard them and show them how to collect art, help them with that. And unfortunately, I already did that to a few people, and only one got really interested. And all of the rest, who I've been counting on way more, they're like, they just don't care. And from the other side of things, I see people who were pretty, let's say, hateful about the space, about the crypto, about NFTs, and now they're asking, oh, bro, what is Web3? How's that work? What's the value of NFTs? How is that forming? So, they're just asking questions because they're like, I don't know what's the reason, I will ask. But, this is like so many things are twisting unexpected ways. So I agree with Wise. I think that in 3 to 5 years we will see like a huge shift, which will be the space will be completely different from what we have now, in my opinion. And we literally have zero ideas how exactly it is going. I think that the logic will be super different from what we have now, from what we're having now. And that's the beautiful thing, because maybe it will turn out somehow beautifully. But let's see. This is what I believe in personally. Para, we have you, and then we will have Ion, and then we will wrap up the space.
About that, what to tell people when they ask? Web3 and blockchain is what banks will be running on like in 3 years tops, my estimation. So they will feel safe if they know their banks will be on blockchain. They can try it ahead so to get acquainted with it. Yeah, it's kind of funny thought, but yeah, it's gonna happen like that. I mean, here in Europe, I don't know if yeah, wise.
Absolutely not. That will scare the average Joe.
Will it? You
As
think so?
Yeah, look, the average person only
Uh-huh.
knows one thing, and that's Bitcoin. It's going up, great. It's going down, boo, crypto people.
Yeah.
I think people are comfortable with the idea of Bitcoin now because they see it as like an asset, and people are kind of like slowly warming up to it. But the idea of like telling them, hey, the blockchain and all this tech is going to be running your accounts later on, it's going to be partnering with banks, that's another conversation for like another time. And I don't think the average person is ready for it. The idea of also like self custody is
Yeah.
terrifying. And we are in this space, mind you. People lose their seed phrases, people lose their private
Yeah.
keys, and wallets are hacked and all this other stuff. So I think, in a way, the way I kind of see it is art specifically is sort of like a medium to kind of like carry that, to also kind of like establish trust, because it is the easiest thing that can see, oh, art, cool. I like this. I want to frame it. Now there's digital frames and all this good stuff that comes.
Mhm.
They can understand that. And then the idea of the blockchain possibly um, being there, whether it's like partnering with banks and other things, that's another. That's they'll overcome it at
Like
some
a
point.
storage medium kind of thing.
Yeah, look,
Yeah.
it's easier. It's just easier to lead with art, and the
Mhm.
crypto products that are easier for people to use are not necessarily for like the finance conversation, because
Mhm.
again, they're completely comfortable with Bitcoin now, but it's taken what, like 10 years, over 10 years or so, or 13 actually, to kind of like to come to terms with it. So
It's gonna
again,
be
it's
normality
easier.
either way. Either way, it's
Yeah,
gonna
yeah, of
be
course,
like
of course. Yeah.
when Facebook and social media first came. There were things of the Satan, and now it's just we can't live without them.
And also metal music, guys.
Yeah, also that, of course.
uh, I have to interrupt you guys. So sorry, I have to run to my working day. I want to ask Iron for the final thoughts on this space. So, Iron, please, your final thoughts. Maybe you have some cool wrap up for this one, and we will wrap it up.
Yep. Yeah, it's super quick. Thank you all for being here, and obviously for listening and talking and sharing your thoughts. We can do as much as I can do as much as I can because I'm not like an artist per se. But your opinions and kind of what you're sharing and your experiences are much more important than what any non-artist would say. But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. I really enjoyed the space, and everyone here, keep making art, keep collecting art, keep being yourself, even if sometimes that's the marketable thing that you have. But yeah, once again, super grateful and super happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys, for being here. We will think about hosting like every morning spaces. And yeah, I'm so happy to have this conversation with you. That's the most important thing for today. Thank you so much. Have a great week. And yeah, we will keep on doing things that we are doing. Please consider dropping a follow to the Art Chains page because we are also preparing our website. to share more articles with you, some interviews with artists, with collectors, etc. So a lot of cool and fun things are on the way. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being a creator, and thank you so much for being in this beautiful Tezos community. See you soon, guys, and have a nice one. Bye bye. Love you. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Art Chains podcast. If you enjoyed it, give us a like, subscribe to our channel, and share the episode with your friends. It was me, your host, Amir, along with our amazing guests. Don't forget to listen to the Art Chains podcast on all streaming platforms. And thank you for being a creator.